Hi guys, welcome back. I know it has been a while, too long, way too long, and I apologize for that. Couple things, I guess, going on, and let's go ahead and get the business out of the way first because I have something very special for you today. But, so it's been a while, mostly because, and this is something I actually want to talk to you guys about, and I would really like your feedback on this, in the comments below. Let me know what you think. But I have this weird feeling about doing progress videos. For some reason in my mind, I feel like it ruins the finish reveal. And maybe that's wrong. Maybe you guys would really like to have videos as I'm working on projects. It's not really an issue when I'm doing smaller ones that, don't take as long. But when I have bigger projects, they can take a while, as I'm sure you know. And so it ends up being a long time between videos. And yeah, I don't know if you'd like to have short little progress videos to let you know where we're at, how it's going, or, sort of feedback along the way, or if it's more fun to have the big reveal. So yeah, let me know what you think, and we'll try and manage video content accordingly. So, but yeah, so that's one of the reasons that it's been a while, is just it was a big project this time and it just took me a long time to get through it. Part of the time that it took was because I had some other stuff going on, as we all do, life stuff, One of the big things was I was finishing my master's degree, so I had my last semester kind of thrown in the mix there, and it just made it hard to sometimes have the energy to, work on it after working on schoolwork and papers all day. So that was one thing. And then I also, very sadly, lost my 18-year-old, he was nearly 18, pupper in September, and we had been through a lot together. He was a big part of my world, a big part of my day. He was on a lot of medication, so I always spent a lot of time with him, just taking care of him. So it was just like a big chunk of my world that just sort of disappeared very suddenly, and it threw me into a really big tailspin, especially after, having lost my dad earlier in the year. So I kind of had a little period in there where I just wasn't feeling like, necessarily working on it. So I had a lot of days where it was like I would pick it up for like 10 minutes and just wasn't feeling it, and so it just yeah, I had a little gap in there where I struggled to stick with it, but we got remotivated and had a strong finish here at the end. So if you remember from way back in June when we started this, it's January. Anyways, we were doing Titania, Queen of the Fairies. And I had mentioned in the sort of reveal video that I had bought this when I first moved to Australia, so probably around 1999. So I've had this sucker for about 20 years before I built up the courage to actually take it on. So, but this has been hanging around with me forever, and I loved it. Every time I looked at it, I'm like, I want to do that so bad. But yeah, so it just feels like this huge check off my list of some days. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to be done with it. Overall, it took me about 165 hours. It's a lot of hours, which is about the equivalent of just under 7 days worth of nonstop stitching. Obviously, it took me 7 months. But yeah, so mostly, obviously, the stitches. There wasn't a lot of back stitching or bead. Well, there was quite a bit of beading, actually. Took me 6.5 hours just to do the beading and 4 hours to do the back stitch. The rest was all just the stitches. So, anyways, I guess there is nothing left to talk about or to do but to look at her, right? So, are you ready? She's pretty stunning. I think you'll like her. Okay, here we go. She's pretty big too, so I don't know how I'm gonna get this all in. Oh, look at this. Look at her. In all of her glory. She is so pretty. So, her wings, I'd like to get some of this beading in there. Really nice. So you can see there's beading all along the fringe of her wings, and then her antennas, and then there's a little bit around around the arms of her dress there. That's pretty much all the beading there was. It was just because it's mixed colors, so you have to really pay attention, and being on the fringe, counting out to it can sometimes, sometimes you have to double and triple count to get this one, out here and find your reference point to do that. And then, yeah, the back stitching was, again, just the wings, the detail on her face and her arms. And that was pretty. There's just one little spot down here on this where there's a little back stitch. But that was it. So mostly all just stitches. And there's a lot of them. But she turned out pretty good. Like, I'm pretty impressed. And remember, we had gone with a lighter fabric. Now it's hard to tell because my lights are on behind it, but I actually like her on the lighter fabric. I think she looks good. I think she stands out, and I think her wings look more transparent than if it had been on the little bit darker. Chestnut, I think, was the recommended fabric. And we went, I think, with a linen or a lamb's. I can't remember the name of this one. But anyways, yeah, so there you go. What do you think? I obviously need to clean it up. And I'm not much of an ironer, so, whatever. That's okay. If I frame it, I don't know. It's a lot of work. It feels like it should be framed, but again, like, as beautiful as she is, these aren't really the colors I decorate with. So, kind of torn. I'm just happy to be done. For me, it's always about the process and the finish. And just the fact that I can take her out and look at her all of her beauty at any time is sometimes enough for me. But if I were to frame it, they would stretch it out so that you wouldn't see all these wrinkles and stuff. It would be fine. So, yeah. 7 months! Can you believe it? It's crazy. It's crazy to me. But, so there you have it. I feel like it's been 7 months and I've done, a very short video for you, but I hope you think she was worth the wait. And if you have any questions about her, by all means, shoot me a message in the comments below. I would say stitching any project is just a matter of, one stitch at a time, and people will tell you not to be intimidated by big projects and to just, if you want to do them, take them on. I would probably say for this, you'd want to be a little bit more of an advanced stitcher for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think just the scope of the project, if you're not used to kind of investing so much time and energy into one project, it might get a little, you might start to lose a bit of momentum about it. Even I, at some point, was sort of like, okay, I'm kind of just ready to be done and start something new. So it takes a certain dedication that I think comes with stitching over time. So that's one reason I think I would recommend doing a few smaller ones, maybe even some of the smaller Mirabilia fairies first before you take this one on if you haven't done much cross stitching. The other reason I think it might be beneficial for someone a little bit more advanced is because there's a lot of space. And so there's a lot of, like I was mentioning with the beads, you've got to really pay attention and watch your counts, especially on these linens where you're doing, 2/2 counts. So just for that reason, I think it just takes a little bit more focus, and you're working with threads and beads that can be sometimes a bit of a challenge. So like this blending filament, it's the standard Krynic blending filament. It's very difficult to work with, I find. You have to do short pieces and change it out often because it gets it separates very easily, and it knots up really bad. So it's just, you're using materials that can be a little challenging, and you're having to have a focus on the detail. It requires a little bit more. So I just think that if you aren't used to it or you haven't done much cross stitching, it might get a little bit overwhelming, or it may just feel like too much. Whereas when you have experience using these materials, especially maybe if you've started using them on a smaller project, you kind of think, oh gosh, this is a pain, it's not a big deal, and you figure out your way of working through it. Whereas when you're working on a big one and you're having a problem with a thread, all of a sudden it feels like too much. Like, I'm never gonna get through this. So I think becoming familiar with some of the things that you'll use, like those metallic threads, on something that you're not using as much, and you're getting familiar with the way they work and how, for you, every person's different, how it works for them or how they prefer to use them. Find your way with them before tackling something this big would be my recommendation. But I'm also all for diving in if you're feeling super confident. Like if you just love it and you're like, I can do this, go for it. Absolutely go for it. She's totally worth it. And by all means, happy to help. If you run into an issue or a question or a problem, just shoot me a note and I will do my best to walk you through it, or even just give you the encouragement you need if you feel stuck at any point. So I am here for you, and hopefully at least one of you is super inspired by her and decides to also add her to your collection, because she's worth every minute, and all the moments of aggravation with materials or threads, or I got one point and I was like, what, completely missed a whole thread that I needed and had to go and get it in the middle of everything. That's fine. Totally worth it. Don't mind a bit. So anyways, we are gonna have a new start because I don't idle well in between. Sometimes I idle in the middle, but never in between projects. So we're gonna have a new start for you very, very soon. It's gonna be a much shorter one, I think, I hope. And I think we're gonna give Fairies a little bit of a rest. I think I need something else. So we may do, at least the next one is not, and we may do 1 or 2 others that just to have a little break. So we'll see. I always end up going back to them, so I say that, and probably the one after this next one will probably be another fairy. Anyways, I am so happy to be back, and I am really excited to share her with you. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and again, let me know any thoughts or comments below. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.